This time, we're gonna work on the Rx7 because I feel like it's having some fuel pressure issues. It's fairly certain it's the OEM unit, so it's gonna get replaced anyways. And I figured hopefully this will fix some issues that I'm having with some fuel. So this will just tear into it. See what happens. So what we have here is a 13 brew with bolt-ons essentially. I know what you're thinking. There's this huge hole, so why not put the fuel pressure regulator there? Well, in the future I'm going to have a V-mount, so it's not going to be very practical. I don't want to remount it in the future. So my only option really is to put it right about here in this area, and it looks like, so we got the unit. Problem that I'm having is this gauge is just massive, and so I'm thinking put it right under here where the meth injection nozzle is. If I can focus it. So there's a nut right here on one of the fuse boxes in the engine bay, and there's also a tab and stuff, and there's enough room to squeeze in a bracket there, or if I even bent this one I'd be fine. So it fits right there underneath the meth injection. It's not going to be in the way of direct fire coils or anything in the future. So this is pretty much where it's going to have to sit. I tried putting it against a shock tower, but it's kind of just, well, you know what, that might work actually. One of those two will work. I'll figure it out. I kind of like this. Ow, we'll figure it out. Let's pull off the intake manifold. Now we get to do the fun part, pulling the coolant hoses off. Yay! These are absolutely the best purchase you can buy from Harbor Freight fuel line pliers. It's like $6 maybe. Oh!
Cuss word.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Ah, I got my tongue. Ah. Rest in peace. Okay. So this is what a 13 brew throttle body looks like. It's pretty radical, as you can see. Also has like a top throttle deal. It's pretty insane. Thermowax rod moves it just a little bit. Very, very complicated. Cool, I don't know how much the camera recorded, but got a lot of it off. It's ready to come off now. Let's see, get this over here. With any luck, it'll just come right off. Okay. One, two. Okay, what are we missing? Intake air temp sensor. Okay. I think that's it. Ugh. What a doozy. Intake manifold itself has its own throttle bodies. It's supposed to prevent you from overboosting, but since I took out the emissions and made it simple, I gotta just have them like this the whole time. That's the bottom, a little bit oily. Now what you're about to see is very frightening. I know you're already looking at the Foose wheels, but this is even more frightening to most standard people. The rat's nest. You see this? So you have your ignition coils, solenoids and vacuum lines, all for the twin system. This is simplified too, so there's about twice as many on the emission setup that's bone stock. Yeah, it's gonna take all this out so I can get to that fuel rail right there. Let's get to it. See how bad this is. Pulling this out. Oh. Well. Shoot, I was expecting a massive fight. That wasn't fun at all. Cool. So for those who don't know, this is the stock FD primary and secondary fuel rail. There should be a fuel dampener here, but the previous owner deleted it, so I had to ghetto rig a setup. That's not a lot of fun, but it doesn't leak, so it works. It gets by. But get the 550s down here, the 850s up here, and now we got to pull this out, the OEM fuel pressure regulator. Get it tapped, replaced. Shouldn't be too bad, I hope. Number one rule of screws, take every single one of them seriously. Especially when you're supposed to be using metric screwdrivers and you're not. Oh, that's nice. See what that is? That's orange RTV. This has been off at one point. Why would you need that? There's an O-ring. There's a perfectly good O-ring. Man, previous owners suck. So I think it's time to drill it and tap it. Oh man. This has to be the sketchiest stuff I've ever done. Ugh. Now it's really sketchy. Okay, so what I've done here is that I have my regulator mounted. You can see the gauge when it's running, and as you can see down here is the return line that goes to the tank. This one goes to the fuel rail. Got it looped around under the big old coolant, I think it's coolant hardline. Just have a little 90 right there. I tested the injectors for resistance. They're all good. All my ignition coils are good. And one cool thing is that the jumper wire trick still works even with the Adaptronics ECU. So you can jump the fuel pump and check your pressure. It's set at 60 right now, but that's not running, so when I turn it on it will be less. I think it's supposed to be anywhere from 36 to 38 psi when it's running. Yeah, now I guess I'll just button it back together. Didn't see any leaks. All good. So it's all back together. So we're gonna fire her up, see what happens. Keep this going on the engine bay, just in case. Got it reading at 40 pounds. Hopefully that's good. Seems to be running well. FR is pretty normal for warm up. The oil pressure is good. Reading about almost 20 inches of mercury. Water temp hasn't gone up yet. Need more gas though before I do any pulls. Well, that's all I can do for today, so probably gonna go do some pulls. I don't have them out for the car, so kind of SOL on that. So gonna go do some testing and then, you know, go do whatever for the weekend. Enjoy.